to the museum garden park. And before we get started too deeply, we're going to dedicate a bench here pretty quickly. But I want to introduce you to a fella in a black shirt right over there. That's Larry Morrison. He designed that bench.
Oh, hey.
He's working for a company.
Thank you.
He was working for a company called Dodds at the time. And that was about 3.5 years ago when we first talked about putting together a bench. And then 2.5 years ago, I was asked if I would lead an effort to create a Pioneers of Stealth memorial. Larry and his son Matt designed that too. And so I wanted to say thank you, Larry, for coming. Thank you, Amanda, for setting things up. We're delighted that you're here. And I think what I would like to do now is ask you to rise for our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank all of you for traveling such long distances to come. Our class has diminished in size quite a bit, and we live near an airport. We have come a long way to dedicate a bench that we have spent, it's hard to believe, 58 years since we graduated from pilot training. And our class was a tremendous class. And stories to tell about the impact these people had, that we all had, on the Air Force. I'm going to let Gary tell that remark. So Gary, why don't you come over and tell your story about what all the class members have done with their lives.
Get killed by the flag. Well, on behalf of the class, I do want to express my deepest appreciation to Denni. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, hello, you're alive. They told me I was mic'd up here. Okay. There we go. On behalf of the class, I want to acknowledge to Denni, if it wasn't for him, folks, we wouldn't have the monument, we wouldn't be here, we would not had all the reunions. This is the man right here. I think the Air Force got its money's worth out of this class. However, all the things that we accomplished, while the men I thought were outstanding, the ladies that were behind them were equally outstanding, and I want to make sure that they know that this bench is also dedicated to them. So thank you, ladies that were involved. You did a great job. Okay, a quick overview. We started with 43. We graduated 32. 2 of them got wiped out real fast as we got our wings. Larry Rucker got killed off of a RC-121 off the Otis, Massachusetts coast real quick like, and then Donald Rourke bought the farm down at Eglin in an F-4C before he could get to Vietnam. The rest of us, we all went. We weren't there together at the exact same time, but we were all there within a 2-year period. We were all there at some point. So we didn't cross paths necessarily, but we fortunately were able to later get in touch and find out what we did through the great Denni Jarvi. So it just keeps coming back to him. Okay, of all those that we had, 3 received the Silver Star, 2 was awarded the DFC. Correction, let me get this thing straight here. 2 people had the Silver Star. 16 got the DFC. 4 got the Bronze Star, one of them with the V, and then 2 got the Purple Heart. And of course, I'll acknowledge Paul here in a minute. All received numerous air medals, and you'll see that on the thing. It shows 210. What we know is that while that is an impressive number, we didn't start collecting this until 2007 at the reunion that we had. And by that time, many of the folks were already gone. So we don't really know what a third of the class accomplished. So basically, there's a whole lot more stuff that should be on this thing that isn't, but there's no way we can ever bring it back to life. We flew a mix of 15 different combat aircraft. 14 of the folks served full Air Force careers. Steve made Major General. Myron. Okay, we're going to get it here in a minute. Mylan Zimmer actually did make 07 when he was wing commander down at McDowell, but he had put his papers in. Now, Mylan in that particular case did not know he was going to make 07. He got selected after he put his papers in, and as you may recall, they had some loss of their children, and the wife didn't want to stay in the Air Force any longer, so Mylan turned down being a general. So we actually did have 2. We had 5 that made real colonel, and 2 generals. We actually had a 6th that made it below the zone, Andy's husband, Earl. And Earl, again, because of some medical issues, was forced to change his career plans and elected not to accept the promotion to below the zone colonel and stayed there at Las Vegas. Let's see, special mention. Well, I guess we had the only thing else we might have accomplished. 3 of us were Major Air Command directors before we got in there. 5 did command squadrons. Okay, Jim Berger, special mention, 6.5-year POW. The rest of the class acknowledged he was our hero. In 07, he gave us a talk at the reunion that kept everybody spellbound for 3 hours, telling of all the things that happened while he was stuck there in Hanoi, and nobody said a word the whole 3 hours. It was just amazing. Earl was also, Henderson was probably our shining star, knowing that he had been the first, actually the second commander of that spooky squadron out at Tonopah, for the one that flew the MiG-17, 21, and 23, called the Constant Peg program, which of course Steve was part of also. Earl was on his way up big time. Again, the medical issues that felled him forced him to change career paths there, and he didn't want to get out of flying, so the career path changed. He wasn't going to go into other stuff. The man that replaced him was Hawk Carlisle. Hawk Carlisle became, a few years later, the 4-star. That was the commander of TAC. It's logical to assume that Earl Henderson would have probably been our first 4-star. At least that's most of our opinions. And it's mine that counts, and that's the only one that you have to listen to. So, at any rate, Denni Jarvi, quite a special person in our class. Denni flew for 6 different Air Forces. Now, that's a little strange, but it was all in fighters, and you know, fighter pilots are little strange people anyway. But from all that, Denni did fly F-104s for a whole pot full of countries. He also was the program manager for the Tacit Blue program that you may see a display on in here in the museum. In fact, you've got it behind us. There's a model of it on top of that monument back there. Denni was the program manager for that, along with the vice commander of a wing down at Brooks. Let's see, somebody named Sven Edlin. I've never heard of him. I'm told that he was the youngest aircraft commander in our class to jump to the front seat of an F-4. So again, a fighter pilot. Folks, you got to give me credit here. But that's pretty clever. I see fighter pilots. They got little bitty instruments, little bitty things, and one engine, maybe 2. The heavy we got lots of engines, big wristwatches. Yeah, this is a good thing. At any rate, okay. Steve Grant, wonderful person that unfortunately, medical issues caused him not to be with us. He flew west here a couple of years ago. Steve was awarded, as a fact, was awarded a Bronze Star from the Army. It's a little strange for an Air Force guy, being a fact, to get one from the Army, but it's the way it was. Paul Bush, Jim Berger, only ones that got the Purple Heart. And of course, they're also dumb enough to check out the ejection seat system in the F4. So, and it must have worked because Paul's still sitting here. Let's see, I got stuck in Vietnam as a pilot for them, and I had the initial category for the C5 and had a couple of squadrons in 141s and C5s. Mylan Zimmer, magnificent person that we wish he wanted to be here. He's got some medical issues down in Florida right now. Mylan's credited with 3 MiGs, and thought probably that there was some question that he might have actually had more, but 3 was what he got credit for. Mylan ended up as wing commander down at McDowell and was also the squadron commander for the F-117 and initial category for that thing. John Pankhurst got 1 MiG. Ron McKinley, most people don't know it, but Ron was the pilot on the H-3 Jolly Green Rescue helicopter for picking up that first F-111 crew up in North Vietnam that was forced down. Ron C. And again, Earl Henderson, Denni Jarvi, and Chuck Haberstedge, who couldn't be here today, all had their 100 over the north in the F-105. And I guess lastly, John Hightower made air attaché down in Peru. So the class accomplished a whole pot full of things. And again, a third of the class we don't even know about. A heck of a class. I'd like to kind of close with a little comment here. This was, the author is unknown. This was sent to me by Roger Behrens, who was wanting to be here very badly, but had to cancel for the last minute a couple of days ago for COVID. He says, I know now why men who have been to war yearn to reunite, not to tell stories or to look at old pictures, not to laugh or weep. Comrades gather because they long to be with men they once acted at their best. Men who suffered and sacrificed, who were stripped of their humanity, I did not look to pick these men. Fate and the military did, but I know them in a way that I know no other men. I have never given anyone such trust. They were willing to guard something more precious than my life. They would have carried my reputation, the memory of me, and it was all part of the bargain that we all made. The reason that we were so willing to die for one another. As long as I have memory, I will think of them every day. I am sure that when I leave this world, my last thought will be of my family and my comrades, such good men. Thanks, folks. Thank you, Denni. Very outstanding.
Okay. Now,
oh, we got to do this. Okay.
We'll put it right here.
All right. You got it.
If you grab the far side of that blanket, I'll grab the near side.
Okay.
And we'll unveil the monument.
All right. Are we ready? Anytime. 1, 2, 3. Here we go, folks.
Amanda, right there.
There
it
are.
is.
Woo, Miss Amanda. There you go. There we are, folks. Thank you, sir. All the gentlemen that are on there. Thank you, Denni.
You're not done yet.
I'm not done yet. Remember, I'm not a fighter pilot.
Well, our next task is that we have unveiled this, and I'd like to ask Colonel Baker to gift it to the Air Force Museum to Mr. John Morang.
Oh.
So if you'll please come up, John.
Oh, very well.
Please offer our gift to the museum.
All right. Sir, on behalf of Class 65H, you're honoring us, and we'd like to have you keep this in perpetuity for us.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Appreciate it. All right.
So, good afternoon. Well, you guys picked a great day for us. Oh my. It's my honor to be with you to accept this memorial on behalf of the National Museum of the United States Air Force and our director, Mr. David Tillotson. Colonel Baker, Colonel Jarvi, thank you for allowing me to take part in this dedication ceremony. This park was dedicated in 1972 to honor the men and women, the 1% of our population that has worn the uniform in service. to this country. Since then, we have dedicated over 500 memorials to their honor. Today, we add one more, this memorial, dedicated to the Webb Air Force Base Pilot Training Class 65H. Our motto is that we are the keepers of their stories, and your remarkable story will be kept and shared with the visiting public. Your sacrifices in Southeast Asia, flying numerous airframes such as the AC-47, C-7, C-130, F-4, F-104, F-105, and HH-3 Jolly Green Giant, while earning 3 Silver Stars, 37 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 4 Bronze Stars, 210 Air Medals, and 4 Purple Hearts, is most worthy of this honor. Thank you for entrusting your memorial and, more importantly, your story to us here at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. We will ensure your legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, if I could ask you to rise once again for the playing of taps, which is really fitting for our class, and remembering all of those in our class that are no longer able to be with us. Okay, please be seated.
Yeah, very appropriate. Yeah, great timing.
Right.
Great timing.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming.